那个录
这个开始录了吗？这开始录
这
了
个搞了吗？搞了吗？
等等啊，
嗯。
开始录。
等您，我去，那好了。
So, do you want me to just start talking about the rain, or do
You
you
could,
have any
or I could
questions?
ask you something.
You
Yeah.
ask
Okay.
something.
Yeah, we're supposed to pretend we don't know each other, and I'm going to ask your name, but I'm not going to do that.
Okay.
Waste of time. Yeah. Okay, where are you from again?
I'm from a small town in between here and Derby called Heanor, which is quite near to the Derbyshire countryside. So I grew up there, went to school there, and then I've lived in Nottingham now for 10 years. So.
Yeah, when did you move? Oh, wow, that was 10 years ago. So how old are you now?
I'm 30 now.
30, so you moved here when you were 20.
Yes.
So you spent most of your childhood in...
Yes, in Heanor.
In Heanor?
Heanor.
That's a really strange name for a town. It's usually something like something share or something like that. How's your hometown like?
It's an old mining town.
Oh.
In Derbyshire, but the mines were closed down before I was born. Even I think my grandfather used to be a miner. So it's very small at the moment. You know, it's a victim of the sort of.
So it's not doing so well economically.
No, not really.
So it's on the downfall. Really, it's shrinking.
Yes,
Hotels closing and
yeah, pretty much. And also, I mean, even down to the college that I went to closed not long after I left. So
really?
there's not a lot there now. I think, in terms of where it is, it's in between two big cities. So people live there and commute and stuff. So that's side of it. But as a town itself, it's pretty small and run down.
So they're only living there because they always lived there?
I think so, yeah. My sister lives there, and my family, my parents live there, my grandmother, my sister with her two nephews. But again, it's like, it's because it's an okay place to live and it's close to other things rather than it being an appealing place to live, I think, in general.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's how other people think about that town, but what do you think of it? Because that's where you grew up.
Yeah, I'm glad to be, as soon as I was sort of old enough, I worked in a nearby theme park when I was a kid.
A theme park?
Yeah, it was called the American Adventure.
Is it still there?
No, that's closed down as well.
So many things closed down, I hate that.
Yeah.
Really, I do.
And so as soon, I worked there for a bit, and then as soon as I finished college, and I had the opportunity to leave, I took it, you know, and so I went away to study, and then ended up working in Nottingham when I moved back, and then just ended up moving here instead. There's not more happening in the city.
Well, I'm supposed to relate to the subject, so I'm going to ask you.
Yeah.
Do you remember as a child playing in the rain, or because it's supposed to be raining all the time, so I suppose you will have some kind of memory. Are there any fond of memory in between all those times?
Most of my time as a kid when you're playing, because I guess in general when it rains the most it's outside of the summertime, so most of my memories playing as a kid are when the schools are off and it stays light till late.
Yeah, 12 hours or more.
And in general, the weather's not so bad, you know, that's where I associate most of my memories. In fact, when it was raining it would be more of sort of indoor playing video games and stuff like that.
So you actually had video games when you were young?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And your parents allowed you to play on it?
Yeah, in fact, you know, my dad was quite keen.
He plays as well, I suppose.
Not so much anymore. Like we bought our first we bought a ZX Spectrum when I was a kid, and was sort of interested in loading games for hours.
I've never even touched one of those.
That was like the generation of computers and video games before the sort of NES, like the first Nintendo. And then it was, but my first proper console was like a Sega Mega Drive, with Genesis. But
your eyes look different when you talk about games. You're such a gamer, I can notice. You're like, oh my god, so much fun memories.
Yeah, I guess they're the fun memories. When it was raining indoors playing video games, I suppose, yeah.
What makes it different playing video games indoor when it's raining or not raining? What's the difference?
There's that element of guilt is when you should be outside playing in the sunshine when it's nice and light and getting exercise and playing football and games and running about. But if it's raining, then I guess as a kid, your parents aren't sort of saying, go out and play in this like massive downpour. You're allowed to play on video games.
It's a perfect excuse for doing what you love to do. Well, that's interesting. I never thought of playing games when it's raining. Though I usually choose to read or sleep, but I'll try to game next time.
Yeah, I mean there are some memories, you know, being out in the park with all your friends, like certainly in the Derbyshire countryside and stuff, it's great for fishing and long bike rides and stuff when you're a kid. And so, I mean, you wouldn't plan on going out while it was raining, but all of a sudden you'd find yourself miles away from anyone else, and it being a massive downpour, a massive thunderstorm, and just being caught out in it, and then it's mostly just trying to find your way back home in a storm, rather than it being.
Would you say it's an enjoyable experience?
I guess like
as long as
when you're a
cold.
kid and it's and it's not freezing cold and it's thunder and lightning, then yes, that's pretty exciting. Because there's always stories, and as a kid you think you're probably going to get struck by lightning or something. There's a massive thunderstorm and you're out in the countryside, even though it's rather unlikely.
I remember when I was a kid, I used to explore, because like you said, you have closed down mining sites and all these things, and most of them are unmanned, unwashed over, unattended. Have you done any of those explorations and find anything interesting?
Yeah, I mean that's what I used to love as a kid.
That's the most interesting thing ever, actually.
It wasn't, I mean, we didn't play like old mines or anything like that, but the countryside where we grew up, there was a lot of lakes, and then sort of behind the sort of public areas of the big countryside park that we used to go in, there'd be these vast streams that would run all the way through the woods. And I think like growing up, watching films like Stand By Me, I don't know if you've seen the Stephen King movie, where it's like kids walking down the old railway tracks and stuff, and you know, being spooked in the dark, and maybe it's like the sort of sense of the unknown. And just have to say, if it had been raining, those massive streams would be sort of overflowing, and they'd be really noisy and exciting to sort of walk along and jump along, you know, trying to avoid falling in, or you know. And there'd be all sorts of old rundown, I don't know what they were, there was all sorts of weird concrete things, which could be, as a kid, could be anything, you know, like
I always imagine it to be a wartime thing, like a bunker or something.
Exactly.
Yeah, I always thought it is, but it's probably not, but I'd like to be.
Yeah, and as kids, you know, if we didn't have like grown-ups to tell us what these things were, so you would just assume that it was like an old war bunker or some spooky grave, maybe there was like a monster or a dead body inside, like you see in
always look forward to seeing one of those things, but I never actually came across anymore.
So I mean that was a whole part of my childhood, my growing up with that small group of friends, and it feeling like an adventure, certainly when it was like, and it was much more so after it had been raining or in the rain, because once they were all dried up in the summer.
It feels different. It's not as magical, or you know, it doesn't have the key thing of chemistry.
Exactly.
In the formula, it doesn't thrill as much.
Yeah.
I can relate to your feeling, because I do the same thing when I was young, and China went through a great stage of building and destructing, and there is so much construction site that's abandoned, and we always hear about ghost stories and everything, and we always go explore in the basement.
Yeah.
Torchlight. It was much of a thriller.
Yeah.
I miss that. How do you think your entertainment has? Well, this is not even related to it. How do you think your entertainment has changed over time with the growth of age?
So over time, I guess, you know, I don't go on as many bike rides, or I don't go exploring in the woods so much. Certainly because I live in the city now, so it's just not really an option. Actually, I would like to still go. I know I've got friends who like to go walking and in sort of pleasant places and stuff. But that sense of adventure isn't the same as it was when you were a kid. And I guess most of my entertainment now revolves around drinking, movies, video games, that sort of thing.
That's alright. You still have movies and video games. You don't just drink and go to sleep. That is decent.
Not
okay?
quite, no.
Considering you have a job.
Yes,
So,
yeah.
So that is still quite decent entertainment. Next question is, what is the most beautiful scenery in the rain you have seen in your whole life? It doesn't have to be the best to be considered by other people, just by you. What is your favorite?
My favourite, it would be on the train. I have a friend in Manchester, and the train from Nottingham to Manchester. After you leave Sheffield, you go through all the valleys and the countryside on the way. I can't remember the exact name of. I can't remember the name. Of the
Oh,
area.
it's the slow train that takes like 2 hours and it goes through the whole Peak District.
Yes.
And then the scenery is like so much mountains and valleys. It's so much layers.
Yeah.
It's like canvas. There's so many layers of it. I know that track. Oh yeah, that is brilliant.
So I have fond memories of visiting my friend at that. But also at the same time, just sat on the train, and it being, I mean, it always rains in Manchester. I don't think I've ever been to Manchester when it doesn't rain. But that whole journey and seeing that amazing landscape in the rain is beautiful. Yeah, I think that would be up there, and I can't really think.
Any other?
There are probably some, but I can't recall.
Yeah. Have you been to Manchester?
Yeah, I go
Yeah.
fairly often.
I always wondered why it rains so much in Manchester.
Yeah, I've never figured that. I think I'm just unlucky. I'm sure it doesn't
No.
rain in
I lived
Manchester.
there. I lived in Manchester. I lived in. Do you know Altrincham?
No.
It's a small small town, really close to Manchester. You can take a tram there. I
Right.
lived there for like 2 years. The interesting is, people buy lawns over there, right?
By lawn.
Lawn, like grass.
Oh, right.
Buy
Yeah.
their lawn from B&Q.
Right.
And then they roll it out, and then they water it and nurture it, and then it got overthrown by the moss.
By moss. Really? I know.
Moss, like the green
Yeah.
little things. And then all the grasses died, and it's replaced by a carpet of moss. and no matter how much they try to kill the moss, it always wins. So the only way they can redo it is to buy more from B&Q. So outside B&Q, there's a whole lawn of lawns because everyone just tend to buy them when they're finished and done. It's I just thought that was quite funny because nobody can't. There's no one who can do it properly. There's no way you can't. There's so much rain and so moist. It's just there's no sun, so the grass doesn't grow at all. It's just the moss.
Good repeat business for B&Q, I suppose.
Yeah, it is. 你还有什么问题吗？电影 Oh yeah, she's got a question she has to ask everyone.
Okay.
What is the best film scene with rain happened in the rain?
Okay.
Which?
A few. I'm going to think the first one that comes to my mind is High Fidelity. I don't know if anyone else has mentioned that.
High Fidelity?
Yeah, it's a John Cusack movie. It's based on a Nick Hornby book, but they moved it to Chicago. I really like that movie, certainly when I first saw it. But there is a scene towards the end where John Cusack's character is trying to avoid his ex initially, and he's sat at the bus stop. He's just left the wake for her dad's funeral, and he's sat at the bus stop in the rain. I think he does a short monologue, and then his ex-girlfriend picks him up in her car. And I just remember, I just really liked how that scene was photographed, and I just thought it looked great. And it was one of those old sort of, not overly, I can't think of the right words, but it wasn't overly sort of saccharine or
It was
cheesy,
more of
and
a-
it was just like a nice sort of, as in
It's a very
A romantic
sophisticated and
scene
elaborated
in-
feeling, isn't it? It's very exact, and you want it to be where it is.
yeah, and I think you see that sort of. I imagine there are films like, I've never actually seen The Notebook. I've seen the poster for The Notebook, and they're both covered in rain. So
If
imagine
you're gonna talk
that's
about it,
where-
that makes the third review. Yeah.
But I think the way it worked in High Fidelity was quite nice. And I thought it was shot really well. So.
Well, now we'll have to check it out because we
Yeah.
have to put it in the video.
Yeah.
Ah,
So
right,
there's
right,
no way
okay.
we're not gonna watch it.
I imagine most of those movies where it's filmed a scene in the rain. Then again, there's probably like loads of war movies, like
Yeah.
which are all in like Saving
And
Private
sometimes
Ryan.
it's in the fight scenes.
Oh yes, let me go. I was trying to remember some of my favourite action movies where stuff happened.
Yeah. So many things. I'm not clear. I maybe in most of Candice in the Korea film, they like two men without gun just to fight in the ring.
It sounds like a familiar scene which happened all the time. I can't actually remember
Yeah.
a specific film that it's happened in. I think it probably happened in The Matrix even at some point.
Oh, the last one at the Matrix,
Yeah,
where
it
he
is,
goes
isn't
to
it?
end the whole thing.
Yeah, that's what I
Fighting the
mean.
rain. Like the guy, Mr.
Which-
Masters.
Yeah,
That was good.
which is probably ripped off from something else as well. So.
Yeah, they ripped quite a lot of things off to put into Matrix.
Oh.
Well,
It's going to be like a really amazing scene which I love, which I've completely forgotten about, and I'll think of it after this is all finished. I should have said that, but I can't think.
you can't, you couldn't, yeah, it's annoying. Okay, I'm gonna carry on. So, because you're 30, you probably don't relate the weather to any emotions too often, otherwise you'll be too emotional or gooey. But
I guess.
I'm just gonna ask if you still relate to them sometime, from time to time, maybe midnight when you're alone. What would you say the kind of feeling the rain gives to you?
Okay, I know what you're getting at. I like it. Nostalgically, it's. I imagine there are probably some happy memories of even just hearing the rain against a window or something while you're thinking about something. But in general, it's just an annoyance. Even the snow, which is meant to look beautiful all the time, loses
beautiful.
its sort of charm after a while, after a few days in the freezing cold.
It usually turns into sludge.
Yeah.
That's probably it's the salt, you know, the what do you call that? The grit they
Yeah.
use. It turns everything into shit.
Yeah. Quite right.
Basically. That's alright. You can't pick it up. We can
Oh.
edit it afterwards.
Oh, okay.
That's
Well,
fine.
it's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
That's what I mean.
Do you have anything else you want to add to? Or do you have any more things you could think of to tell us?
No, not really.
Okay.
I try and avoid sort of walking in the rain, and I can't drive, so I have no driving memories of the rain. So, no.
When were you born?
I was born in 1982,
Like which month?
July
And July the
23rd.
什么座？
July 26.
7/21。
巨蟹
狮子，7月份的尾巴，你是狮子座。
Oh.
What's
I'm
that?
trying to work out which zodiac. No, not zodiac. What's the other one?
Stars, yeah, star sign. I'm on a cusp actually. I'm, according to some,
You're on the cusp.
a cusp.
A cusp. Oh.
Cusp. So
Okay.
some astrologers think I'm a Cancer and some think I'm
Yeah.
a Leo. At which point I decided quite young that if they can't decide between themselves, then it's probably a load of rubbish.
Yeah. Okay, that's
Is
good.
that okay? I'm sorry if
Yeah.
that's not of any
That's
No,
good.
no,
That's
it's
good.
fine.
That's good.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
that's all right.
You look very natural.
Yeah,
That's
very
always good.
natural. Yeah. Like start.
Didn't stare into the camera
No.
too
Yeah,
much.
like start. Very professional.